Hello, everyone. This is Holly Chantal, the founder of the Land of Brand, and welcome to the Land of Brand Laboratory, or as we like to call it, the LOBoratory for short. And today we're going to be talking about Infusionsoft and Ontraport. So as an online business owner, you know that your time is very important, and the more things that you can automate, the easier it's going to be for you to run your business. So today we're going to talk about automation software, which is a really popular topic, and specifically we're going to be comparing Infusionsoft and Ontraport as they relate to the coaching world. Because while they may be suited for different types of businesses, or many different types of businesses, we as coaches have very specific needs and very specific features we're looking for. So we're going to talk about which pieces of software might work best for us. And recently, this is why the topic has come up, is recently I switched from Infusionsoft to Ontraport, and I had been using Infusionsoft for about 4 years. So as you can see, this was a big decision and a huge shift for me. So that brought up a lot of questions. Why did you do that, Holly? Why did you shift? Do you not like Infusionsoft anymore? So that's what we're going to talk about today, is the reasons why I made that switch and basically the pros and cons of both software. So let's go ahead and move over to the presentation. And as I'm going, since I know that this is going to bring up a lot of questions about your specific businesses, about how you would use this software, because obviously I'm not going to cover everything for everyone, leave your questions on the right-hand side of the dashboard, and I am happy to answer them at the end. I have used both pieces of software fairly extensively, so I can probably answer, I'm going to say almost definitely answer any questions you have that are relevant to your business and anything that you're trying to do, like if it has a certain feature or if there's a certain way to accomplish a task that you need to accomplish, that kind of thing. Just leave them in the chat. And the other thing we're going to talk about is if you're even ready for automation software, because of course, automation is extremely tempting. It's something that we all want. It's kind of get the the big eyes and the drool draw as you start seeing everything that the software can do. But the question is it really for your stage of business? So we're also going to talk about that. All right, so what is business automation? What is it that we're talking about here? So basically, what both of these softwares do is they automate your follow-up. So this is more than just an autoresponder. So an autoresponder is something that when someone is added to a particular sequence, they receive a preset of emails that are already written on a timer, and it automatically follows up. So it automatically responds to whatever action is taken. Business automation software takes that a step further in that it takes a prospect and it customizes that follow-up sequence based on that prospect's behavior. So you might have multiple sequences set up, and how someone moves through those sequences is dependent on the types of actions they're taking. So whether or not they click on a certain link. So if I click on this link that is showing you that I'm interested in this particular product or this particular event, you can follow up with me based on me clicking that link. If I didn't click on a link, if I did not show interest, or maybe if I did not open an email and you want to kind of bring it back in front of me again, then you might follow up with me in a different way. If you buy a certain product, so this goes in a couple different ways. If I buy a certain product and you have another product that would be a natural upsell or a natural addition, then you want to follow up with me on that with that type of action. Or buying a certain product, you obviously want to deliver that product in a way. So if you are selling a digital ebook, then it needs to be delivered. If you're selling a membership program, I need to be registered into the membership site and given my login. If it is something like if you're doing a online course and you want to follow up with me throughout the process and kind of send me little motivational emails and that kind of thing, that can all be triggered by buying a certain product. So what it's doing is really automating these different activities that you probably have to do on a one-on-one basis otherwise. The other thing you can do is if you click on a link and then instead of buying a item, you leave the page. So that's called cart abandonment. So you're about to buy, you're on the order form, and then you leave. You can send a follow-up email to that person based on that action. You can choose specific options on a form for a survey. So, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. If your prospect chooses specific options on a form or on a survey, then you can customize your follow-up based on that. So you can have them, after they opt in, take a little survey that says where they are in their business or where they are on the journey that you help people with, so that your follow-up can really be tailored to their stage of the cycle. So, for instance, I work with coaches. So a startup coach is going to need something much different than a six-figure coach. So I want to know who that person is so that I'm not sending them information that is not relevant to them. So this is a way for you to automate that process. Or if we go back to the buying a membership product, let's say they purchased a 4-week course, but they haven't logged in ever. Like they bought it and they didn't ever signed in, or they bought it and they signed in once and then it's been a couple weeks, but you know that they need to be motivated in order to log back in. You can set triggers so that they are sent a follow-up email if they have not logged in or they are not consuming the product that they bought. Because your end goal is not just for someone to buy a product, you really want them to consume it, because that's the only way, one, that they're going to get the result that they want and attribute that to you and your awesomeness. And that's also the only way they're probably going to buy something else from you in the future, is if they've had a really good experience and they've seen how quality your content is. So what else does it do? So that's all just the follow-up stuff, but automation software also does a lot of other things. You can automate the fulfillment of orders, both digital and physical. So sending a link to for an ebook download or a video download. Or you can send fulfillment orders to your drop shipper to send out your physical products. You can manage where prospects are in your sales process. So let's say you're selling a high ticket course and it takes a couple touches for a prospect to actually sign up for that course. So you might have a proposal process, an interview, sending them references. So there might be a type of process that you take people through in order to close that sale. So what you can do is track that pipeline for each person and see kind of where they are in that pipeline, so you can follow. If you are doing sales calls or you're doing follow-up calls, you can pull a list of all the people that are in that stage of the pipeline so you can follow up with them. So that way you're not letting people slip through the cracks because you forgot to follow up. You can send communication other than emails. So sometimes you can send voicemails or faxes or postcards. So it doesn't just have to be email. It can be actual physical, other physical methods of communicating. They can manage your membership programs. So this is really helpful because membership is often based on payments that are being made. So if you have some kind of subscription, you want to automate that access that they have based on if they're actually making their payments or not. A lot of times you have a membership software that people purchase, and then you have to manually cut off their access if their payment fails or if they cancel their account, which is usually fine if you're running a pretty small operation. But once you get to the point where you have hundreds and thousands of people, that can get a little tricky when you have people canceling all the time, or you're having to chase down people for payments and that kind of thing. It's not so fun for you to have to manage on yourself. That is definitely not an income producing activity that you really want to be devoting your time to. So this type of automation software will help you put that on autopilot so you're not having to worry about it. So most of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis can be automated in some way. So most of the busy work that you're doing throughout the day can be put on autopilot as long as it's something that is handled the same way. So someone purchased a product, they need it delivered. Someone opts in for this offer, they need to get this particular follow-up sequence. Anything that you're doing on a one-off basis can usually be put into one of these types of sequences. But the question is, do you really need it at the stage of business that you're in? Because it is really exciting. It's exciting to see all the possibilities and how if you were following up with, if you were not letting more prospects fall through the cracks and they were automatically being followed up with without you having to think about it, how much more sales you'd be getting. So that is very exciting. It can be very compelling and can make you decide to sign up for the software when your business is not quite ready for it, because it is an expense. It can be $200 per month. $300, $400 is not uncommon either. And sometimes there's an upfront fee. So with Infusionsoft, there's a $2,000 kickstart fee, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. So it's expensive. It's an expense every month. If you're not bringing in enough income to cover that $200 to $300 a month, then you're basically just digging yourself deeper and deeper into a hole, and that is no fun. It needs to be paying for itself in order to make it worth it. Your business model isn't developed enough to take full advantage. So with all of these features, the software is very exciting, but if your business model isn't complicated enough, isn't developed enough, so you don't have multiple products, you don't have the need to be able to upsell and downsell and move people through a pipeline and all of that, those are things that you can pretty much easily manage yourself, then you're not going to be taking full advantage of the software, and it is not worth paying that much per month, because you can do a lot of these things with Aweber. There are ways to automate some of your follow-up and customize some of your follow-up using Aweber, MailChimp, or other cheaper autoresponders. It's really when you get into the upsells and the downsells and the cross-sells and the pipelines and those kinds of things that it makes sense to have something a little bit more robust. The other thing is that these pieces of software, because they have so many features, they can get really complicated. So typically you're going to want to have a support person to manage it. So if you don't have someone on your team, or you can't afford to bring someone on your team, then the software is probably not for you, unless you're very tech savvy. And even then, it can take a lot of time. So I do all of my own tricks because I am kind of that tech person. So I set up all my own campaigns. I set up all of my affiliate programs. I set up all of my my products and that kind of thing. But it takes a lot of time, and that might not also be a luxury that you have. So to really make the most of this software, you need to be making at least $50,000 a year, at least. I would not consider this before you've reached that point, because when you've hit that point, when you've reached the $50,000 a year level, one, you can afford $200 a month, no problem. The other thing is that that's usually shows that your business is established, you're on the rise, and putting some of these things on autopilot to free up your time to focus on income producing activities, or just optimizing the funnels that you already have that are working and automating them, will put you into one of those growth and into a growth spurt. So it will help you take your business to the next level, because you will be able to leverage the tools that are in this software to take you to that next level. You also want to have at least 3 or more products or programs. Like I said, if you're not moving people between products, or you don't have upsells and downsells or anything to automate, then you might as well be using just a regular autoresponder. I've mentioned Aweber before. It integrates with most shopping carts. It integrates with PayPal natively on its own. So that tool is really all you need, unless you're starting to get into this more complex and developed business. If you have a high-level program that requires multiple-step sales process, this isn't really required, but it does help you take full advantage of the software. Because one of the features is the ability to track where someone is in your sales process and to be able to follow up with them. So if you are having a process that you're having to speak with someone three times, or you're sending proposals, or you are it's not just a point and click buy your product type service, then a business automation funnel or sequence can help with this. And you either need to be super tech savvy or have a team. So make sure that you have someone on board to handle your software so that you're not left with a machine that you're not able to utilize. So let's talk about automation options. So more and more companies are jumping on the bandwagon, and that's a good and a bad thing. One, it's good because you're getting lots of choices. There are some pieces of software coming out on the market now that are at a much lower price point. There's even one that I saw, I think was like $30 a month. I haven't actually tried it myself. But the thing is that one, you usually get what you pay for when you're starting off with something a little bit cheaper. It might not have all the features you need, or it might not be the quality and the support that you need. And because there's a lot of companies jumping on the bandwagon, you got to be careful because you need to vet those sources. New companies might not have the same type of support you need. They might not have the resources in place to support the software and to grow the software and to support your business. So for right now, I'm focusing on Infusionsoft and Ontraport because those are the two pieces of software that I've heard about the most over the last 4 years. And they seem to be, they're very solid. They have good reputations. They have fantastic customer support, and they've shown that they're here to stay. So they are companies that are on the rise, they're growing, and they have really quality products. So that's why I'm going to focus on those two and not some of the other options that you may have heard of. So that let's go ahead and get started. So make sure that your choice has a strong reputation, great customer service, because I guarantee you're going to be calling them a lot, especially when you're first setting up, because even no matter how tech savvy you are, or even if you have a team, there are always going to be questions. There's always going to be that learning curve as you're getting started. Functions as they say it will. That's really important. Bugs are super annoying, and sometimes you'll be promised a feature, but it's not really there yet. That kind of thing. That's not cool. Offer some kind of trial or satisfaction guarantee, because you're putting your entire business into a piece of software. If you don't like it, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to set these things up. And if it's not working for you and you need to move to something else, or you decide that, your business is not ready, you don't want to have wasted hundreds and thousands of dollars in trying it out. So I don't see any reason why software companies shouldn't let you kind of try things out, especially since you can't really play with the software until you've signed up for it. So try to find software that has these either a trial or a satisfaction guarantee. And make sure that it has all of the features you need for your business. So take a look at the business activities you're doing, the business model you have, and make sure that the features it has, you're not going to be wanting to add software to it, because that's just going to drive up your monthly cost. So as I said, we're going to focus on the two big players, Infusionsoft and Ontraport. So both of these pieces of software have automated follow-up sequence that trigger actions based on a prospect's behavior. So all that stuff I talked about right in the beginning, both of them do that. They both have the ability to sell your products or programs. So they take payments, they deliver products. Fantastic. They both have membership management options. So that means if you're selling some kind of subscription service, oftentimes online courses are handled through a membership site. Both of them will allow you to do that. Infusionsoft has it as an add-on fee called Customer Hub. There are also other plugins. iMember 360 is one of them that I used when I had Infusionsoft. It's fantastic. And then Ontraport has it built in. And also affiliate tracking, which is very important, especially for coaches, because a lot of times we're making joint venture partners and you want to be able to track where leads are coming from so you can give people credit. So why do I like Infusionsoft? So let's talk about individually these two pieces. So I like Infusionsoft because their email builder is drag and drop, and it's very easy to use. So their software is very visual. It's literally what you see is what you get. You can drag images in, you can delete them, you can drag articles in, paragraphs, you can change your font sizes very easily. It's very simple to use, and I love it. The campaign builder is very similar. It's very visual. It kind of looks like a mind map. So if you were to draw on a whiteboard kind of what you want your sequence to look like, it's very easy to take that drawing and put it into Infusionsoft because that's how it works. It's very visual. So if I want them to buy this product, that's an item on the mind map, and you choose the product and get this sequence, you add the sequence, and then you add the emails that are in it. So you can really look at your campaign as a whole, which is very nice when you're trying to visualize what you're doing, and it helps you stay organized and helps you really kind of be able to see everything at a glance, so you know where you might need to add things or you can tweak things. They also have analytics built into it, so you can see in each section of the campaign how many people have been in it, how many people reached the next step, or how many people you kind of lost them at that stage in the sales process, so you can really measure the effectiveness of your campaigns. And then they also have fantastic customer service. You can always call them up and they'll walk you through whatever problem you're having. I have always been very happy with the level of service that I've gotten from Infusionsoft. What I'm not a fan of. So Infusionsoft is a workhorse. It is a really big piece of software. So sometimes what you want is really difficult to find because there's like 100 menu items that you need to sift through, and sometimes it's not as intuitive as you would like. For instance, they call receipts invoices, which to me is the opposite of what it should be called. So just things like that. It's not quite so user-friendly, and that's why you need someone that's very tech savvy or understands the software really well in order to use it in your business. It's not for just a regular Joe Schmo technophobic coach, which many of us are. Their communication kind of stinks when it comes to a known issue, and sometimes bugs take a long time to fix. So, for example, I think it was probably 2 summers ago. Everyone's open rates just plummeted by like 10 to 15%, and we kept calling Infusionsoft and asking, what's going on. And finally, we were told that every email going to, I think it was like GoDaddy, or going through the GoDaddy server or the Google server, one of the servers that they were sending email through, I think it was both, I think it was Google and GoDaddy, were being returned. So for whatever reason, there was an issue between that server and Infusionsoft, and no one was getting our emails. And it took 8 weeks to fix. Can you imagine not having your emails go out for 2 months and how much income was lost? And I can understand issues like that, but they were like not telling us, which I was just not happy with that. Like, if it's a known issue, tell me so that I can find a workaround or find another way to communicate with my people during that time. And then sometimes there's just these really silly bugs that occur because they do an update and then it's not fixed until the next update. So that's just not cool. It's a big enough company that I would hope that they would communicate those things much better. If you want to update a campaign, it can take a lot of extra clicks to get to where you want. So because the campaign builder is very visual, you have to you find the campaign you want, and then you have to find the sequence you want, and then you have to find the email you want. So that's like 4 clicks just to get to an email that you want to update. And then you update the email, and then you have to save the email, and then you have to publish the email, and then you have to go back to the campaign. There's just a lot of clicking around, and it just takes more time than it should. I am not someone that likes to wait for things. And the other thing is that I oftentimes use the same emails in different campaigns. So if I have to update information on one email, then that means I have to find all the campaigns that have that email in it and update them as well. So it takes a lot of unnecessary time. And whether you're using your own time or you're paying for that time, it's just not so fun. Sometimes it's hard to remember where one campaign leaves off and the next one picks up. This is just something that happens as you're building so many campaigns in your business. It kind of gets a little out of control. And that's going to happen with any software that you use, is that you have to keep really copious notes on what's where. But sometimes it's hard to find a specific email or a specific part of a sequence because you have to keep going into the campaigns and have to keep doing those clicks to kind of get deeper and deeper into the campaign to see what it is you're trying to find. I'm not really a fan of the upfront sign-up fee and the no-take-backsies. So it costs $2,000 to sign up plus your monthly fee. So that's like $2,200 right up front, and you might not even be able to use the software for a couple months because it's going to take that long to set up. And then the sign-up fee, I feel like if I was going to pay that fee, I would rather pay someone on my team to do all the setup than to have training that I'm probably not going to use. And I've not really been impressed with the setup that their team does because it's not as customized to specific businesses where it would be if you were working with a specific consultant. And the other thing I don't like is if you've done all the setup and you just realize it's really not going to work for you, you don't get any of that money back. And I'm not a big fan of that. I think that there should be some kind of alternative solution there. And the other thing I don't like about it is the tricky pricing. So they have all of these different pricing options on their site, but if you sign up with this person or that person or under this promotion or that promotion, then those prices might change. So it's not the same across the board. I could sign up today and you could sign up tomorrow and we'd be paying two different things. And I just feel like pricing should not be negotiable. If they are saying that this is worth a certain amount, then it just should be that. And this is how I mean, just as you were running your coaching business, you wouldn't be charging someone different things for the same program because that would just not be an integrity. And I think that the same thing with software, you don't want to feel like you didn't get a good deal because someone else was better at negotiating or someone else found someone that had a little, was on the inside and could get you a deal. So I'm not a fan of that. I like honesty and upfront pricing. So what do I like about Ontraport? So Ontraport is much more streamlined all around. It has less features, but most of those features are things that you will never even think of using. So it's much more streamlined. It's easier to find what you need. There is a very simple menu. It takes less clicks to get to where you want. It's more efficient for a solopreneur. I do think that, all those features in Infusionsoft are great for a small business or someone that has like multiple employees and a team. It's definitely, Infusionsoft is great software. But if we're looking at the solopreneur coach that maybe has a virtual assistant, then you don't really need quite as much. And I feel like Ontraport is much more geared toward that solopreneur. You can update one message and it will update across all the sequences that use it. So the way Ontraport works is that you create your emails first and then you put them into sequences. So let's say, for instance, I have my double opt-in email. In Infusionsoft, you create the double opt-in email, but if I want to make a change to it, I have to change it across individually in each campaign. With Ontraport, if I want to change that double opt-in email, I just go and I change the double opt-in email and it's updated across all the sequences that it's used in. Just makes things much more efficient. The sequences are more intuitive and easy to integrate with each other. So in Infusionsoft, the sequences are contained in what's called a campaign. So you might have a campaign that has 4 sequences inside of it. But where that challenge comes in is you might use that sequence again for you might have a different use for it, even though the emails are the same. Like let's say you're doing a webinar. The dates change, but you already have that sequence set up. You just might change the dates in the sequence and run it again. Where in Infusionsoft, it's a little bit more complicated than that. So the way Ontraport works as different is that instead of having the sequences contained in a campaign, each sequence stands on its own. So for me, visually, it's kind of like taking out one of those layers that I need to click through to be able to see. Instead, it's just showing me the sequences and I can update them much easier. Membership is built in. So it integrates natively with WordPress. And this is used to manage your affiliate program. And also you can manage multiple WordPress sites. So if you have different courses you're building, you have a big membership site, you can have multiple membership sites that are all run through Ontraport. And it's all integrated completely, which is very, very cool. You can have much more information stored for your prospects. So what does this mean? So if I click on a prospect record in Ontraport, it will tell me all of the emails that have gone back and forth, even the ones pulled from my personal Gmail account. You can integrate it with any IMAP email. So it'll show even stuff that I have not sent through Ontraport, it'll show up in Ontraport. It also shows me what pages on my website that person has been to recently, because I installed the Ontraport code onto my website. So it puts a pixel on their computer, and it'll show me the pieces of where they've been on my site. So there's a lot more analytics based on that prospect. And I just think that that's another thing that you can do with Infusionsoft, but it's an add-on. And they did try to add the analytics so that you could see where people have been on your site, but it never really, I don't think they ever really finished it, and it's been about 3 years. So that's invaluable when you're talking to a prospect for the first time and you want to see, okay, well, what have they already looked at? What does it seem like they're interested in? You can look at that ahead of time before you even talk to them. You can incorporate postcards into your follow-up, which I think is really, really nice and has a personal touch. So I can design a postcard and just have it put into a sequence. So I'm not having to write it up by hand. I'm not mailing it by hand. It's literally just a part of a follow-up sequence, as if it was an email. Payment plans and special pricing are very easy to set up. So I often create custom packages depending on what someone needs, because we're doing branding and website design and coaching and all these other things. So sometimes we bundle things in different ways. So I can create an order form that has a payment plan and the price for that specific person. In Infusionsoft, if I wanted to create a coupon, for example, I'd have to create the coupon in one place, add a promo code in another place, and then if the criteria isn't perfect when someone's putting it in, it doesn't work. So then Ontraport, it's much more easy to do that because you're basically just setting up a specific order form that has that pricing and that payment plan, and you're not having to, there's much less things that can go wrong. And that's probably one of the biggest problems I see when people are using Infusionsoft is that a coupon code doesn't work, or a promotion expired and it shouldn't have, or those kinds of things. Only just because it's really hard to test those kinds of things, and there's a lot of complexity there. So payment plans and pricing is much more simplified in Ontraport. Their customer service is fantastic. And you can call them up very easily. They'll walk you through whatever you need. That has been great as I've been setting up my software. And then they have a 3-month money-back guarantee. So Ontraport is $300 a month flat, no startup fee. And you can use it for 3 months, which gives you plenty of time to set up your software. So you really can see if you like it or not. And if you don't like it, then you just ask for your money back and they refund it, no questions. Last summer, I decided I wanted to make the switch to Ontraport, and I bought the software. I started using it. I didn't have time to move everything from Infusionsoft to Ontraport. I have a lot of stuff in there, obviously. I've been using it for 4 years. And so I just asked for my money back because I decided I wasn't gonna make the switch. I wasn't ready, and it was no problem. And then I signed up again this year, and before I did that, I made sure I had the time and had everything mapped out ahead of time that I wanted to do, and it actually only took me about 2 weeks to set up. So that, I think, is a great feature, especially if you're just kind of testing the waters to see if this is what you need. What I'm not a fan of is that their email builder is not as sophisticated. It kind of drives me a little crazy. I think I'm a little spoiled with the Infusionsoft drag and drop builder. Basically, their email builder is still in like HTML. So what I did was I took my email templates that I used in Infusionsoft, and I took the HTML and I pasted it into Ontraport, made some edits so that it would still work. But that's one thing, not something everyone can do if they don't speak HTML. And 2, it's still not foolproof, because oftentimes I'll be editing an email and I'll accidentally delete a bracket, and suddenly my whole email looks funky, and it's not easy to go through lines and lines of code to find out where that piece is missing. So they are making improvements. They're creating more templatized, more customizable templatized things. I think that was fairly new. that they're adding that. So I'm hoping that there will be more down the line. And I'm sure, as we go, that they will be improving that. It doesn't integrate with my time trade account, which makes me sad. So it used to be that when someone filled out an application, they'd be taken to my time trade where they could sign up for an appointment, and then that would go right into Infusionsoft and trigger a sequence. The sequence reminded them of their appointment. So now I can't do that anymore until I find a workaround or if they add an integration. Membership capabilities are limited. So when I was using iMember 360 with Infusionsoft, I had all kinds of complex rules set up for memberships. So I would have one page that would look different based on what level the person was at. So if they were at silver, they would be given this message. If they were at gold, they'd be given this message. Now, if I were to do that, I would have to create different pages for each level. But on the other hand, that might not be a bad thing, because I really think the more options you have, the more you complicate things. Do I really need to have customized messages based on the membership level? Not really. But if it was really necessary, there are workarounds to do it. So the membership capabilities are very easy to set up. I can say that. It only took me, I think, like 10 minutes to switch everything over from iMember 360 to Ontraport. It was very, very easy. And it does not have a shopping cart feature. This is something that doesn't matter to me because I don't use a shopping cart. But I figure it's worth pointing out because if you need a storefront, so if you sell physical products, then you're going to want an outside shopping cart, and that's going to be, whatever additional per month. But they do integrate with one shopping cart and a couple other popular carts. So between the two, the cost is roughly the same in the long term. Infusionsoft is more upfront. So the initial sign-up fee is $19.97 unless you find someone that'll give you a discount, plus the $199 to $379 per month. Ontraport is $297 per month. And these are starter prices. So the more contacts you have, the more emails you send, these prices do go up. So I'm just comparing the baseline pricing. So yes, I am paying $100 more for Ontraport. But if you take out the add-on plugins that I was using, like for my membership software and that kind of thing, they come out to almost the same because that's all integrated natively into Ontraport. And I see Sarah asked, can you do responsive email design? Yes. So the email builder in Ontraport is responsive. So my choice was Ontraport, and I like I said, I do like both pieces of software, but I think that Ontraport is better for coaches because it's simpler to use. There's not a lot of extra features that you don't need, but it has all of the features that a coach would need. Day to day, I feel like I'm spending less time messing around with my software. I definitely swear a lot less because it's much more simple, and I'm not finding as many bugs, so I can't say that there aren't any. I have found a couple, but they were very minor. So I can't really speak to that too much because I've only been using it for a couple months, and I haven't gone through a big update or anything like that. So I'm hoping they're better than Infusionsoft in that respect. But I just feel that overall the software is more geared toward the solopreneur, and specifically the service-based solopreneur. Like I said, they don't have a shopping cart for physical products. So for a coach, a speaker, an author, I feel like Ontraport is the way to go. And new features are being added all the time, and those I think are just icing on the cake. So they're adding the email templates that are really attractive. They are adding a pipeline for following, those high-level prospects. There are workarounds to do without the pipeline. To be honest, I never used the Infusionsoft pipeline. I used tags to kind of track where people were in the sales process. And I can still do that in Ontraport, really, because it's very easy to create your own pipelines. But they're adding a feature that will do it for you, which is fantastic. So the bottom line is Ontraport is on the rise. They are really gearing themselves toward you as a target audience, which means the features that they're going to be added are going to be better for you. Versus Infusionsoft, while it is okay for the service-based professional, it's okay for the solopreneur, its really core business is the small business owner, the brick and mortars, the people with multiple employees, the people with sales teams. It's kind of a very slightly different market. So that is all I have to say. If you have questions, you can type them into the right-hand side. Next week, we're going to be talking about the cookie cutter conundrum, which is basically how to stand out in your marketplace and get rid of that cookie cutter coaching business that you have. And if you're interested in Ontraport, then definitely check it out. You can use my link, thelandofbrand.com/Ontraport. That is my affiliate link. I do get credit if you do sign up with them. And if you have any questions about Ontraport, about Infusionsoft, shoot me an email, holly@thelandofbrand.com. And coincidentally, if you are planning on signing up with Infusionsoft, I have my account. I can actually give it to someone. So if you want, because I have a really special rate since I signed up 4 years ago. So if you're planning on going with Infusionsoft, shoot me an email. If you have any questions about Ontraport, you're thinking about signing up for that, also shoot me an email, and we will see kind of what works best for you. So I hope you all have an awesome day, and I will talk to you next Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern, talk about the cookie cutter conundrum and how to stand out in the marketplace. Bye, everyone.